Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into Jonah Lear's book, How We Decide, to break down the incredible science of how your brain makes its toughest choices. We're going to get right into what's actually happening in your head when you're faced with one of those split-second, high-stakes decisions. So just imagine this for a second. You're a pilot, you're flying a Boeing 737, you're on final approach, and then, bam, your left engine just explodes. The whole plane just lurches to one side. Alarms are blaring, red lights are flashing all over the cockpit, and you're physically wrestling with the controls just to keep the wings from dipping. You're in a real fight to stay in the air. Okay, so the plane is losing speed, and it's losing it fast. You've got, maybe a few seconds to make a completely impossible choice. Do you push the nose down into a terrifying dive to try and pick up speed? Or do you pull back, try to climb, and risk a fatal stall where the plane just falls out of the sky? Now, the person in this incredibly realistic flight simulator, who happens to be the author of the book we're talking about, he actually made the right call. He pushed the plane into a dive, and he saved it. But here's where it gets really interesting. He asked to run the simulation a second time. And on this try, he chose to climb. The plane stalled, and he crashed right into a digital version of Tokyo. It's a powerful reminder of how one tiny decision can change absolutely everything. So that whole experience really gets to the heart of the question we're digging into today. When the pressure is on, when everything is on the line, what's really running the show? Is it our cold, logical, analytical brain carefully weighing the options? Or is it something else entirely? That instant gut feeling. For, literally centuries, there's been this one single idea that has completely dominated the way we think about the human mind and how we make choices. And it all goes back to the ancient Greek philosopher, Plato. He gave us this really vivid metaphor. He said our consciousness is like a chariot, and the driver, that's reason, calm, cool, collected. But he's trying to control two horses. One of them is noble, but the other one, the other one is the horse of emotion. And it's this wild, destructive beast that has to be whipped and forced into submission. And for pretty much 2,000 years, that's been the dominant story, right? Reason is good, emotion is bad. But what if that whole idea, that entire metaphor, is just flat out wrong? What if modern neuroscience is showing us that reason literally cannot work without our emotions? So let's jump from ancient philosophy to a modern medical case that pretty much turned this whole idea on its head. I want you to meet a patient that doctors called Elliot. Now, before he had surgery, he was a total model citizen. Great job, loving family, the whole deal. Doctors removed a small tumor from a part of his brain called the orbitofrontal cortex. The surgery went perfectly, except for one very, very strange side effect. Elliot could no longer feel any emotions. And because of that, he suddenly couldn't make any decisions at all. And here is the truly shocking part. Intellectually, Elliot was completely fine. In fact, his IQ was in the 97th percentile. The guy was a certified genius. And yet, his life completely fell apart. The simplest choices became impossible tasks. He'd spend hours, literally hours, debating where to eat lunch, analyzing every single detail about every restaurant. But he could never actually choose one. His purely rational brain, now cut off from his feelings, was completely paralyzed. Elliot's case was the first real-world proof that reason doesn't just need emotion, it's crippled without it. Okay, so if our emotions are that critical for making decisions, then how do they get so smart? How can a gut feeling sometimes be even more accurate than a carefully thought-out rational choice? Well, the answer starts to take shape in this incredible story from the first Gulf War. There's this British officer, Michael Riley, and he's staring at his radar screen on a warship. A little blip appears on the screen, and it looks exactly like a friendly American jet. But something just feels off. He can't explain it, but he's filled with this sudden sense of dread. Acting on nothing but that feeling, he orders them to fire a missile. And he was right. It wasn't a friendly plane. It was an incoming enemy missile, and he destroyed it just before it hit an American battleship. So was that just some kind of magic? A lucky guess? Nope, not at all. It was his brain's chemistry at work, specifically a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Now, you've probably heard of dopamine as the pleasure chemical, right? Turns out that's not really its main job. Scientists now know that dopamine's primary role is way more sophisticated. It's all about making and updating predictions about the world. This classic experiment shows exactly how it works. Scientists were monitoring a monkey's brain. Now, at first, its dopamine cells would fire when it got a little reward, like a sip of juice. Simple enough. But pretty soon, something amazing happened. The cells started firing at the sound that came before the juice. They had learned to predict the reward. And here's the most important part. If that sound played but no juice showed up, the dopamine activity would flatline, sending this massive prediction error signal screaming through the brain. And that error signal? It comes from a part of your brain that scientists have affectionately nicknamed the oh shit circuit. The technical term is the anterior cingulate cortex, or ACC. When reality doesn't quite match up with your brain's subconscious prediction, like, say, a radar blip showing up just a little bit off schedule, this circuit fires off. It's what creates that physical feeling of unease or dread or surprise that tells your conscious mind, hey, wake up, something's not right here. And this all leads us to the most crucial point of all. This emotional prediction system, it isn't set in stone. It is constantly learning from everything you do. You can actually train your own intuition. Take this famous experiment called the Iowa gambling task. It's pretty simple. You've got 4 decks of cards. 2 of them are bad decks. They give you these big, exciting wins, but they have even bigger, catastrophic losses hidden inside. The other 2 are good decks that just give you small, steady wins. And the whole goal is just to win as much money as you can. So here's what's so amazing. After turning over just 10 cards, people's hands literally start to sweat a little when they reach for one of those bad decks. Their emotional brain has already sniffed out the dangerous pattern, even though they have no conscious idea. After about 50 cards, they start avoiding those bad decks. But if you ask them why, they can't tell you. It's not until they've played 80 cards that their conscious, rational brain finally catches up and can explain the strategy. Their gut figured it all out way before their logical mind had a clue. And what this really shows us is that our gut feelings aren't just random noise. They are the result of your brain's dopamine system running millions of tiny subconscious simulations based on everything you've ever experienced. And it spits out the answer in the form of a feeling. So a lot of the time, we feel the right answer first, and then our conscious mind scrambles to come up with a logical story to explain it after the fact. So in the end, making better decisions isn't about crushing your emotions, the way Plato thought. It's about learning to listen to them and realizing that those feelings are actually a form of highly refined data. Your emotional brain is learning from every single success and every single mistake you make. So the real question isn't whether your gut has something to say, it's whether you're paying attention to what it's trying to tell you.